Every life reaches a moment when you must decide. Either you keep living on autopilot, repeating the same cycle of struggle and excuses, or you rise up and reclaim control. Change doesn't happen by luck or magic. It happens when you finally decide you deserve more than the version of yourself that settled. These 8 powerful tips aren't theories, they're disciplines of transformation. If you commit to them with integrity and consistency, they'll change not just your habits, but your entire way of thinking, working, and living. The greatest illusion we live under is the idea of perfect timing. People wait for stars to align, for inspiration to strike, for some magical sign that tells them the moment has arrived. But the truth is, there is no perfect time, only the time you choose to act. Waiting becomes a form of fear dressed as patience. It's disguised as logic, as responsibility, as preparation, but underneath, it's hesitation. The longer you wait for everything to make sense, the more opportunities slip away unseen. The universe doesn't pause until you feel ready, it moves forward, and those who move with it grow, while those who hesitate fade into regret. Every great change begins with a moment of defiance. The moment you decide that now is enough, you might not have all the answers, you might still be uncertain, but clarity is a reward of movement, not a requirement for it. Action creates understanding. Experience teaches faster than theory ever can. You don't become confident and then act. You act until confidence becomes natural. The right time doesn't reveal itself. It's created through motion, through mistakes, through learning. Waiting for the right time is like waiting for courage to appear before jumping. Courage only shows up midair. Fear convinces you that tomorrow will somehow feel safer. That one more plan, one more piece of advice, one more signal will make you ready. But that's the trap, the endless loop of almost beginning. You prepare endlessly, you visualize endlessly, yet you move nowhere. The mind finds comfort in delay because it mistakes stillness for safety. But in that comfort, dreams decay. Every day you postpone action, you strengthen the habit of hesitation. And once hesitation becomes your rhythm, it becomes a way of life. You start waiting for everything, for love, for progress, for peace, for success, as if the world owes you a perfect starting line. Progress never begins with perfection, it begins with imperfection embraced. Think about how everything you've ever learned started with doing it badly. You learn to walk by falling, to speak by fumbling, to understand by failing. So why now, when it matters most, do you demand perfection before movement? Life rewards those who act first and refine later. The world is not moved by those who plan to begin. It's shaped by those who begin even while uncertain. The difference between those who succeed and those who stay stuck is not intelligence, it's initiative. Every day offers you a choice to live in preparation or participation. Preparation feels productive, but without movement, it becomes avoidance. You don't need the stars to align, you need to take the first imperfect step. The moment you do, everything begins to align because you're no longer resisting the flow of change. Opportunities start to appear when you move toward them. Doors open when you knock, not when you stare at them waiting for the perfect knock. The right time is a myth told to keep you comfortable in your delay. There's a quiet truth about life. It rewards boldness, not arrogance, but boldness, the willingness to act in uncertainty, to trust that growth will meet you halfway. You can spend years convincing yourself that you're being smart by waiting, but the world doesn't measure your intentions, only your actions. The person who acts imperfectly moves further than the one who waits perfectly. Every hesitation is a small betrayal of your potential. When you look back, it won't. The moment you take full responsibility for your life, everything changes. It's not a single act, but a radical shift in how you see the world and your place within it. Most people live as if life happens to them, as if they are passengers being carried along by circumstances beyond their control. They blame their parents, their upbringing, their environment, their luck, their past mistakes, anything that absolves them from ownership. But growth begins when you stop pointing fingers outward and start looking inward. The day you accept that no one is coming to rescue you, that your life is a direct reflection of your choices, is the day you step into real power. Responsibility is liberation disguised as burden. It feels heavy at first because it removes the comforting illusion that someone else is at fault. It demands honesty, the kind that forces you to face yourself without excuses. But once you embrace it, it sets you free. Because when you realize that you are responsible for where you are, you also realize you have the power to change where you're going. You're no longer a victim of circumstance. You become the architect of your reality. Every decision, every reaction, every choice becomes a tool to reshape your life. Blame is easy because it lets you escape accountability. It allows you to stay comfortable in failure. You can say, "It's not my fault," and feel justified in doing nothing. But the truth is, as long as you blame, you remain powerless. The more you assign responsibility to others, the more control you give away. Responsibility is ownership, and ownership is power. When you own your outcomes, both the victories and the failures, you reclaim control over your destiny. You stop waiting for better circumstances and start creating them. There's something deeply empowering about saying, "It's on me." It shifts your mindset from victim to creator. You stop waiting for motivation, for opportunity, for someone to believe in you. You become the source of those things. The world begins to respond differently to people who take responsibility because responsibility breeds strength, consistency, and self respect. The universe favors the disciplined, the self aware, the ones who take command of their time, their energy, and their emotions. When you take full responsibility, excuses lose their power. You stop saying you're too tired, too busy, too unlucky. You start asking better questions. What can I do differently? How can I grow from this? What lesson is hidden in this failure? Every obstacle becomes a mirror reflecting the parts of you that still need work. Every setback becomes an opportunity to practice resilience. You stop fearing mistakes because you no longer see them as proof of inadequacy. They become evidence of effort, signs that you are moving, learning, evolving. Responsibility also means accepting that your mind is your greatest battlefield. You can't control every event that happens, but you can control how you interpret it. You can control how you respond. People waste years waiting for external change when the real change must begin internally. The way you think determines the way you act, and self discipline is the foundation of every form of success. It is the quiet force behind every great achievement, the invisible strength that separates those who dream from those who do. It's not about punishment or deprivation, it's about direction, the ability to command yourself toward what you said you wanted long after the excitement of wanting it has faded. Motivation can get you started, but only discipline keeps you going when the path becomes difficult, when the results are delayed, and when no one is watching. Discipline is self respect in action. It's the decision to honor your commitments even when comfort calls you to quit. It's waking up early when you'd rather sleep, studying when you'd rather scroll, training when your body aches, saving when you want to spend, working when no one praises you. Discipline is what stands between intention and accomplishment. Every goal, no matter how big or small, depends on it. You can have talent, intelligence, and opportunity, but without discipline, all of it dissolves into wasted potential. The power of self discipline lies in consistency. It's not what you do once that changes your life, it's what you do daily, even when it feels insignificant. Most people fail not because they lack ability, but because they lack consistency. They start strong, full of energy and passion, but fade when results don't appear fast enough. Discipline teaches patience. It teaches you that real progress is built one small action at a time, repeated long enough to become second nature. The disciplined don't chase quick rewards, they play the long game. They understand that every repetition, every sacrifice, every act of control compounds into something greater. To master self discipline, you must first understand your mind. The human mind seeks comfort, pleasure, and ease. It resists difficulty and delay. Discipline is the art of reversing that instinct. It's training your mind to do what serves your future, not what satisfies your momentary feelings. You don't wait to feel ready, you act regardless of how you feel. That's the essence of mastery, the ability to command your emotions instead of obeying them. When your emotions rule you, you become a slave to your moods. When discipline rules you, you become the master of your fate. Discipline is not built overnight, it's forged in moments of decision. Every time you choose structure over impulse, focus over distraction, and growth over comfort, you strengthen it. Small victories build momentum. Each time you keep a promise to yourself, you send a message to your mind, I can be trusted. That trust becomes confidence, and that confidence becomes power. Soon, doing hard things stops feeling impossible, it becomes part of who you are. You no longer negotiate with laziness because excellence becomes your standard. True discipline requires clarity of purpose. You can't be disciplined about everything. You must decide what truly matters. Without purpose, discipline feels like suffering. With purpose, it feels like alignment. You understand why you're doing it. Your environment is the silent architect of your destiny. It shapes your habits, your mindset, and ultimately your outcomes, often without you realizing it. You cannot transform your life while living in the same environment that built your old self. The people you surround yourself with, the energy you absorb, the routines you maintain, they either feed your growth or drain your potential. Redefining your environment means becoming intentional about every influence that enters your space because your surroundings are not neutral. They are either moving you forward or holding you back. Every thought, every decision, and every behavior is affected by what you see, hear, and experience daily. If your environment is chaotic, your mind becomes restless. If it's uninspired, your motivation fades. The human mind is porous, it absorbs everything it's exposed to. That's why discipline alone isn't enough. You must design your world to support the person you want to become. If you want to rise, create a space that makes rising natural. Growth should not require constant resistance. It should be nurtured by the conditions you create around you. Start by evaluating the people in your circle. The energy you allow near you shapes the standards you accept for yourself. Some people elevate your thinking, while others infect it with doubt and distraction. You cannot grow in a garden full of weeds, no matter how much effort you give. Protect your energy from negativity, gossip, and mediocrity. It's not arrogance to walk away from people who refuse to grow, it's self preservation. Surround yourself with those who challenge your comfort zone, who push you toward clarity and excellence, who remind you of your purpose when you forget it. The right people don't drain your light, they amplify it. Then look at your physical space. Your environment should reflect order, not chaos. The state of your surroundings mirrors the state of your mind. A cluttered desk breeds distraction. A disorganized room whispers disorder into your thoughts. Clean spaces promote clarity. Create a space that encourages focus, one where every item has purpose and every corner reflects discipline. The atmosphere you build is a silent teacher. When your environment reflects structure, your mind follows its lead. Technology and media also shape your mental environment. What you consume determines how you think. Every song, every post, every video, every conversation, they all program your subconscious. If you feed your mind negativity and comparison, you breed insecurity and self doubt. Choose your inputs wisely. Read what challenges your intellect. Watch what inspires your vision. Listen to voices that sharpen your perspective. Your mind is a garden. What you plant will grow, whether it's weeds or wisdom. Redefining your environment is not about perfection, it's about intention. You don't need wealth or luxury to create a space of power, you need awareness. A small room can hold greatness if it's built with purpose. A simple desk can become a command center if it's arranged with focus. What matters is the energy you cultivate, an energy of order, progress, and possibility. When your environment reflects your goals, your daily habits begin to align naturally. You must also learn to detach from environments that no longer serve your evolution. There are places, people, and patterns that once fit you but now limit you. Growth demands release. You can't keep clinging to the comfort of familiarity and expect transformation to find you. Sometimes you must leave the noise to hear your own voice again. Sometimes you must walk alone to find the clarity that groups can't offer. Redefining your environment is also about creating inner space, silence, solitude, reflection. The external environment influences the mind, but the internal one defines it. You become the sum of what surrounds you. If you live among apathy, you absorb complacency. If you live among ambition, you inherit drive. The difference between stagnation and elevation, lifelong learning, is the decision to never stop evolving, to remain a student of life no matter how much you know or achieve. The world doesn't stand still, and neither should you. Knowledge is not a possession to be stored away after school or success. It is a living force that must be continuously fed. The moment you stop learning, you start decaying, not physically, but mentally and spiritually. Growth is not a phase, it's a lifestyle. Those who commit to lifelong learning stay sharp, adaptable, and relevant, while those who stop learning slowly become prisoners of their own outdated beliefs. Learning is not limited to classrooms or certificates. It's in every experience, every failure, every conversation that challenges your understanding. To commit to learning means to live with curiosity, to approach life with the humility to admit you don't know everything. That humility is strength, not weakness. It keeps you open to new ideas, new perspectives, and new methods of becoming better. The world belongs to those who adapt, and adaptation comes from education. The more you learn, the more flexible you become in thought and in action. Most people stop learning because they confuse comfort with success. Once they achieve something, they stop questioning, stop exploring, stop stretching their minds. They start defending what they already know instead of seeking what they don't. But wisdom grows only when you challenge your certainty. Every field, every craft, every skill is evolving. The information that built your success yesterday might be irrelevant tomorrow. To stay still in a moving world is to fall behind without even noticing. Lifelong learners understand that learning is survival. It's the only way to stay ahead of change. The act of learning keeps your mind alive. It sharpens your focus, strengthens your creativity, and builds resilience. When you're curious, your mind doesn't settle into patterns of boredom or complacency. It keeps searching, questioning, improving. The more you learn, the more connections your mind builds, and those connections become the foundation of innovation. Every breakthrough, every invention, every form of genius has come from someone who refused to stop learning. They kept asking, what else can I discover? And that question became their advantage. To commit to lifelong learning, you must create habits that support it. Read daily, even if it's just a few pages. Study people who have walked the paths you aspire to follow. Learn from mentors, but also from mistakes. Observe the world around you. Every success story carries a lesson, and every failure holds a hidden truth. The disciplined learner doesn't just consume information, they apply it. They test, they fail, they refine, and they try again. Learning without application is entertainment, but learning with action is transformation. The mind, like a muscle, grows stronger through effort. The more you challenge it, the more capable it becomes. When you expose yourself to complex ideas, to different cultures, to opposing views, your perspective expands. You begin to see connections others miss, opportunities others ignore. That is the real reward of continuous learning: clarity, the ability to see what others can't because you've trained your mind to think beyond limits. Lifelong learning also requires discipline because the pursuit of the life you want is built quietly through the habits you repeat every day. Your future self is being shaped right now by what you choose to do, think, and tolerate. Success, peace, health, focus. None of these are accidents. They are the natural outcome of consistent actions aligned with who you want to become. Building habits that support your future self means taking responsibility for the invisible moments, the small choices that seem insignificant but compound into transformation. Every habit is a seed planted in the soil of time. What you nurture today becomes the life you live tomorrow. People often dream of massive change, a new career, a new mindset, a new identity, but they overlook the truth that big change is born from small disciplines. You don't need to overhaul your life overnight. You need to repeat meaningful actions until they redefine you. A few minutes of focus, a single healthy meal, an honest reflection before sleep, a daily act of gratitude. Each one seems minor, but together they shape your direction. The trajectory of your life is the sum of your habits. The person who disciplines their mornings, guards their thoughts, and manages their time doesn't just change their schedule, they change their destiny. Habits are the architecture of your identity. You become what you consistently do, not what you occasionally attempt. Every action you repeat sends a message to your subconscious about who you are. When you show up even when you don't feel like it, you're teaching yourself that you can be trusted. When you break promises to yourself, you weaken your self belief. Building the right habits is an act of self loyalty. It's declaring through repetition that you believe in your future enough to act for it today. To build lasting habits, start with clarity. You must know who your future self is, what they value, how they live, how they think. Every decision should pass through that vision like a filter. Ask yourself, would my future self thank me for this? The answer will guide you better than any motivation ever could. When your habits serve your long term identity, they stop feeling like sacrifice and start feeling like alignment. You're not giving something up, you're stepping into who you were meant to be. Consistency matters more than intensity. Most people burn out because they try to do too much too fast. They sprint toward change and collapse when progress feels slow. Real transformation comes from small, repeatable steps done with intention. Discipline is not about force, it's about rhythm. You don't need to be perfect, you need to be persistent. Missing one day doesn't destroy your progress. Quitting does. Success isn't built in a single burst of effort, but in 1,000 ordinary moments where you choose action over apathy. Your environment plays a huge role in your habits. You can't rely on willpower alone. Structure your surroundings so that the right behaviors are easy and the wrong ones are inconvenient. If you want to focus, remove distractions. If you want to eat better, fill your space with good options. Design your environment to make progress the path of least resistance. Every small adjustment compounds into a system that supports your success without constant struggle. Discipline becomes natural when your world aligns with your goals. Habits also require patience because results often hide beneath the surface. You might work for weeks, even months, without visible change, but growth is taking place quietly. The mind and body adapt slowly, but they always respond to repetition. When frustration tempts you to quit, remember that persistence always pays interest. The version of your becoming is watching how you handle slow progress. Keep showing up. Every small act of discipline is a vote for that stronger, wiser, more capable version of yourself. Eventually, the habits you build will build you back. You'll wake up one day and realize what once felt like effort has become instinct. You'll no longer have to force good choices. They'll flow naturally because they've become who you are. That is the real victory of habit, not just doing better, but becoming better. When your daily actions reflect your highest values, you don't need to chase your dreams anymore. You live them. Your future self is not some distant ideal, it's being created in this very moment. Every thought, every repetition, every decision is shaping that version of you. Build habits that honor that vision. Stay consistent, stay patient, and stay loyal to the process. The life you dream of doesn't arrive suddenly. It grows slowly through the quiet power of the habits you choose to master today.